IEP coaching. Could you be a master IEP coach? Maybe. Let's find out a little bit more about master IEP coach mentorship. What is IEP coaching? What is an IEP coach or an advocate? What's the difference? But first, let's make sure that you're in the right place. If you sit at an IEP table, you belong here. If you are a parent, teacher, admin, therapist, if you have an other role at the IEP table, this is for you. Master IEP Coach Mentorship is the only program nationwide that welcomes with open arms all the roles at the IEP table to learn how to become a leader so we truly can prepare all students for further education, employment, and independent living to truly reach their potential. Because special education is a service, it's not a place. Inclusion is an experience, not a place. But how we flip from this old school mindset of what special education is versus what special education can be, it takes leaders like you, parents, teachers, admins, and therapists who want to make a difference. So I can't wait to tell you a little bit about what IEP coaching is. I talk about this all the time. You guys probably see, my posts, and maybe you get emails from me. And I'm talking about this because it truly brings change within the system, and that's what we're looking for. So before IEP coaching, let's just talk a little bit about this. Maybe you can relate to this just a little bit. I was a frustrated sibling. So my brother has Down syndrome. You guys might have heard me talk about him on the podcast or other places. So he's 45 years old. He has Down syndrome. He is the first generation of fully educated adults with disabilities in the United States, right? So the law was enacted in 1975. He was born in 1977. So it's like I grew up as special education was really invented in our country. I mean, truly, it was like just coming together from scratch. And I was a frustrated sibling. I was that sibling that was listening around the corner, right? And listening to my mom being not so happy about what was happening with his school. And I was like, you know what? Why is this so hard? I'm going to become a teacher. I'm going to become a teacher, and I'm going to change the world from the inside of my classroom. If I have any teachers watching here, you guys know what that feels like, right? You're like, I'm going to go in, I'm going to do things in a different way. And then, quite honestly, I felt disappointed as a teacher. I was doing everything that I could, but quite honestly, I was that teacher who was teaching by day and then talking to parents at night. And I was like, listen, if we work together and you ask my boss for this, or if we work together and collect this data, if we do this together, then we can start to make some changes. In fact, I was so frustrated with the system that I considered changing careers, like getting out of special education altogether. And I know right now that is a trend in our special education community, is for teachers to say, like, I'm out of here. Like, I'm going to go, work retail. So I'm not in the classroom with this broken system and the things that are going on. If you're a teacher watching this and you have, just aspirations to be out of the classroom, I get it. I understand it. And you know what? Maybe that will be your path. But if you're a teacher who wants to stay in the classroom, I get that too. And I want to support you in either one of those. If you are a parent who's like, yeah, I understand that frustration from the family side of trying to navigate the system, this is for you. Right. So I get it from both sides. And I truly was like, almost like, I'm out of here. Like, this is tough. But I figured out some things, and I ended up leaving the system as a teacher, but continued to work in special education by helping parents and teachers build IEPs that work in the real world. I started to see positive changes every day. Who's in for that? Who's in for some positive changes that you can actually see that are tangible? I learned how to make this a career. I didn't go and work for somebody else. At this point, I decided, nope, I am all in helping parents and teachers. I'm going to stay independent. And I became a single mom at that point. And I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make this happen. And being able to kind of, change special education on my terms, meaning that I got to set my schedule and I got to figure this out. And again, as we go through this, if you're a teacher and you're like, I need to stay in the system and I've got, 5 years till retirement, or I need to make sure that, I have the health insurance, I need to make sure those things, that's okay. This works for you too. If you're a mom at home and maybe you've been thinking that you have to go get a part-time job because things are tough, IEP coaching might be the right decision for you as a parent, because you're like, I need all these things for my own family anyway. Why would I not become an expert in this and then help others? The biggest change was that I became hopeful for the future. I no longer was that disappointed sibling or frustrated teacher. I, I love my work. I love showing up every day and seeing creative changes inside of special education. So here's what I realized in the last 25 years. Okay, so I've been doing this for 25 years. That's a long time. And it's important for you to understand what the long-term outcomes are of this. You can absolutely hear yes more often at the IEP table. I don't know about you, but it gets frustrating after you hear, no, we don't do that here. No, we don't provide one-on-one aids. No, we can't get those supplies for the classroom. I don't care if you're a parent or a teacher, you are hearing no too often, and we need to change those no's into yes. Here's what also I see happen all the time. When we build an IEP from a collaborative standpoint with strategies that are not in the books, they're not in the blogs, you can't Google them. When we have that, you can change a child's future. And I'm speaking as a sibling. I'm speaking as a sister who's watching her brother, be independent. He's living his best life in Florida right now. He lives with my mom, but he's extremely independent within their household. And if he wouldn't have had a well-written IEP, if he wouldn't have had my mom kind of pushing for special education to be done differently than what it was, being done, he wouldn't be where he's at right now. And now I see all the resources that we have. I mean, come on, let me just go ahead and age myself. Like my brother was in school where there was no Google, right? There was no resources. There's no Facebook groups. There was none of those things to figure out what needs to happen. So if he can get this far, think about all the things that are possible in the future. But here's what I also realized. You need the right people around you. If you feel like the wrong people are around you right now, what I'm talking about with the IEP coaching is 1,000,000% for you. So the wrong people deflate you. The wrong people are the people who, when you have ideas on what you could put into an IEP, how you could create the IEP, how you could work together, how you collect data, maybe some new training, some new things that you're like, yes, we could do this. And you're hearing a lot of no's, or people that are saying, the system isn't set up that way, or funding would never let us, or this district would never. Or if you're getting deflated from having the wrong people around you, it's time to switch. And it is possible to get the right people around you. If anybody ever heard or felt like special education is an island? I hear this all the time. Special education is an island. I am tired of that statement. I decided in 2023 that statement is gone. Like, it needs to be gone. And here's the reason. We have the capability to be around other people in special education, but you feel lonely or isolated because you're probably around the wrong people. Right? So if you get around the right people and you make the effort to find the right people, get around the right people, your entire day changes, then your week changes, then your month changes. You no longer are isolated in that. IEP coaching. Let's talk about if this is for you. You're here because you're like, I don't know what this IEP coaching thing is. I've been seeing it everywhere, talking about it all the time. Could I really do this? So we're going to go over a couple of things. IEP coach or advocate, what's the difference? 3 ways that you can get paid as an IEP coach, and some things that you need to know before you start IEP coaching. This is really important because IEP coaching is not something that everybody can just jump into. So let's see if this is really right for you. Before we get started into that one, let me take 30 seconds and just remind you of the purpose of an IEP, because here's the thing. A lot of times we look at IEPs as this paperwork that demands an appropriate education for a child. If we're going to get in the right mindset as an IEP coach, it is really important for you to know that the purpose of an IEP is not just for free and appropriate public education, but it is also to meet a child's unique needs and to prepare them for further education, employment, and independent living. And that's where IEP coaches really focus, is making sure that an IEP meets a child's unique needs and prepares them for further education, employment, and independent living. When we do those 2 things, then we've developed this appropriate public education. But so often we get stuck in that argument of what is appropriate and what's not appropriate. My version of appropriate might be different than your version of appropriate, and we both could be right. It just depends on what's happening in each individual situation. It depends on the unique needs. So if you're all in, like, yes, I want to design IEPs that meet a child's unique needs and to prepare them for further education, employment, independent living. Like, you're ready to get out of kind of this, the arguments that have been happening for decades and decades in special education and move on to truly creating change. That is what IEP coaching is. Now, I'd love to know, what's the first word you think of when I say special education advocate? I can tell you that most of the time, the word advocate is used in a threatening way, right? I'm going to bring my advocate. I'm going to call the advocate. The school's doing wrong. I need an advocate. Now, if we look up the definition of advocate in the dictionary, advocate is a good thing. Advocacy is a good thing. But unfortunately, the word advocate has gotten this negative kind of definition in special education. And so when I went to schools and I was helping parents, and when schools were calling me up saying, like, hey, can you help us write better IEPs? They were like, so what do you do? Right? So what's your title? And a lot of times I could have called myself an advocate, but I didn't. I would use terms like educational consultant. I would use all these different terms. And then finally, about, 5, 6 years ago, more like, maybe 6, 7 years ago, I said yes to those who were saying, can you please teach me to do what you do? And I said, yes. I said, but it's not advocacy in a traditional special education kind of way. It's different than advocacy. And that's where Master IEP Coach came about. IEP coaching is collaborative, consistent, and it's community. So collaborative, meaning if you are thinking like, I have to go fight at the IEP table all the time, that's more of what traditional advocacy definition is. And again, I'm making a stereotype there, and I'm well aware that not all advocates are approaching the table from a fighting stance. I completely understand that. But there's a feeling that we get when we hear advocacy. And that IEP coaching is collaborative. Coaching means that we're teaching somebody else to do this, which means Master IEP coaches help parents find the right words, and they empower them to be their child's own advocate at the table. So you're getting coaching when you hire a Master IEP coach. It's not a done-for-you solution. Coaching is also consistent. I mean, we know this, right? Like, you can't hire a coach, like a trainer at the gym, and show up for 1 or 2 or 3 sessions and think that you're going to get all the benefits of that trainer or that coach, right? It takes consistency. So Master IEP coaches work consistently with families. In fact, I just had kind of a conversation in the comments of one of my posts on Facebook, and a mom says to me, can you believe Dylan is going to be graduating college? I still tell everyone about you and how you helped us through his schooling. So Dylan was a student that his mom brought me in to coach her when he was in 2nd grade, and I stayed their IEP coach all the way through high school graduation, and now she's still giving me updates. So this is not something that it was just about coming in on crisis time and fixing an IEP. I was a consistent piece of her family and making educational decisions for 10 years. And the other thing, IEP coaching is a community. Do you guys see everybody there on the boat? So we do these amazing retreats where we have great activities, and you get surrounded by, remember I said you have to get surrounded by the right people if you're really going to make change in special education. The people on this boat, they're the right people. They are parents, teachers, admins, and therapists who have the strategies. They have the hope. They have the motivation. They've got skin in the game, meaning they are sitting at the IEP table. They are not just talking about theory. They are helping each other help their clients get the results that they need to build those unique IEPs that prepare children for further education, employment, and independent living. Now, let's hop into 3 different ways that you can get paid as an IEP coach. The first one is one-to-one clients. And that's where I would say 99.9% of Master IEP coaches who come into the mentorship, they're working towards working with families one-on-one. I just explained to you and shared with you that story of how I worked with Dylan's family. And Kristen, I see your comment there. I'm going to get to that in just a minute, promise. So I want you to know that working with families one-on-one does not mean that you always have to sit at an IEP table. It means that it could be phone consults, it could be Zoom calls, it can be helping them find the right words to submit a letter to the school to help make sure that everything is documented the way that it needs to be documented. So 3 ways to get paid. The first one is one-to-one clients. Now, I've got some things that can help you if you're like, where are those one-on-one clients? How do I get those one-on-one clients? What's going on? I can show you all of those things. The second way that a lot of master IEP coaches create income is through community, meaning that they get hired by local organizations to come do IEP coffee talks or IEP workshops. So there are community organizations that are actively looking for you to work in your community, like drivable distance, like show up, fill up your coffee mug and bring some tools and sit down and work hands-on with families. And then the third way is online, which means that there's master IP coaches that absolutely create, different tools and things that they then, share out online for parents. So there's a lot of parents that want to, do things by themselves. So they create resources that they then can share online and sell online and provide that service. Let's see. Kristen says, I had our parent agency tell me during their training, I could not say I was a coach because it was not the right term. I laughed and I said, well, I guess I will not be a parent volunteer for you. So Kristen, I appreciate you sharing that because IEP coach is absolutely a valid term. And let's just chat for a minute and talk about how there is no certification for IEP advocates that is like a nationwide, like you're an advocate, therefore you are certified. Like I'm a certified teacher, right? Like I'm a certified teacher by training. Now I haven't been in the classroom for a long time. This has been my full-time work, right? This is my full-time work. And it has been for a very, very long time. But I'm a certified teacher. Like the state said, take this test and you now can call yourself a certified teacher and I can go get a job as a certified teacher. There is no such thing as that. Now, there are different programs out there that will say certified. They will say board certified. I just encourage everybody to do their research, just like you should be, doing research to see if this is the right program for you. I absolutely love additional trainings that are out there to complement Master IP Coach. By no means am I ever going to say one is superior to the other. There's all different ways to get information and to have that. But Kristen, it's interesting that somebody said, like you can't say that you're a coach. And that you absolutely can. I can tell you that there are many, many, many Master IP coaches out there right now. And I can tell that too. Absolutely. So things you need to know before you become a Master IP coach. So this is where you're like, can I really do this? Number one, do you know some IEP basics? I'm not saying that you need to be able to, master everything in the IEP process before you come in. But do you know IEP basics? Do you know, that there are annual meetings? Do you know that we need to have some SMART goals written into IEPs? Do you know, just what the different roles are on the IEP team? Do you have some IEP basics? Because this is not an IEP 101 type program at all. It's not. So do you have some online basics? Meaning that I want to help you be known as an IEP coach. And that means that you have to be able to utilize, some social media. You need to be able to follow some basic directions on how to set up a website, which, by the way, I've got some cheat sheets for you that you don't need any fancy tech. We're not talking, old school kind of like coding a website and figuring out all those things. No. Basically, can you follow directions of point, click, put this here? We need to have that. Number 3, are you willing to go on a journey? Meaning that I am never, ever going to tell you, become a Master IEP coach, and this is going to be your full-time income next month. I'm not going to do it. Are you willing to say, I'm going to take this journey. I'm going to learn all of these things about becoming a Master IP coach for myself. And then I'm going to help others. And for some, that happens quickly. They do have clients within the first 30, 60, 90 days. For others, it takes a little bit longer. But are you dedicated and saying like, I'm going to go on this journey? Yes, this is worth it. I'm going to take this information in and I'm going to apply it. And you might be in a season in life where you can apply it quickly, and you might be a season in life where it's like you got to take some time to go through it. I promise you, stick with me if you're just like, yes, like I'm all in, I want to go, or yes, I'm all in, but right now I don't know if the timing's right. I've got something for you. The other thing that you need to know is that you need to step into being uniquely you, meaning I want you to be exactly who you are and the experience that you have as a parent, as a teacher, as a therapist. We're going to use that experience so you can help others. Meaning you went through things or you're going through things for a reason. And you've learned lessons that you absolutely can use to coach others so they maybe don't need to have that same lesson. Not all lessons are pretty, right? So you have some experience. Like I watched my mom have some experiences navigating the system for my brother. I went through some experiences as a teacher navigating. I learned some lessons. I use all of those things when I'm teaching you how to become a master IEP coach. And then I teach you how to use your experiences to then help others. But I do want to say that you are in the wrong place. This is not for you. If you believe that schools are always wrong, if you're just like, I'm going to become a master IEP coach because schools are always wrong and I need to make things right. And no, that's not true. Schools are not always wrong. We are never always wrong or always right. There's always a conversation that can be had. Now, are there some things that happen that are wrong that we can fix? Absolutely. But if you believe it's always wrong, schools are always wrong, schools are always lying, schools are always manipulative, this is not the right place for you. Again, this is a program for parents, teachers, admins, and therapists who, yes, they've had some struggles, but we all work together. You are in the wrong place if you want to know how to file state complaints and go to due process. Nope, don't do it. I'm not a lawyer. I don't play one on TV. I'm not going to give legal advice within the Master IEP Coach Mentorship. I am going to show you the foundation, the purpose and findings, and the facts within IDEA law, which is good in all states. That is a federal law. I'm not going to give you legal advice, but does this sit in the foundation of IDEA law? Yes, it does. If you want to learn how to file the fancy legal paperwork, this is not the place for you. If you want to learn how to memorize the law and make threats, and that happens a lot in special education. If you want to say like, well, according to section, XYZ, you need to do A, B, C, or we're going to, whatever that threat is, this is not for you. I am not going to show you what pieces of the law to memorize. I am going to show you how to use the law responsibly and effectively and collaboratively so you can build those unique IEPs and prepare children for further education, employment, and independent living. This is just a couple of master IEP coaches that have been in the program. Abby is, she's a teacher, she's a mom, she's a case manager, and she said that I'm called a lot of things in life, and being called a master IEP coach is definitely one of the coolest. Getting to serve other families with their IEP needs allows me to make a difference in ways I never thought possible. So, she's been in the program for quite a while. She's making a huge difference, and she's using these skills both in her job and in her role inside the school system, which, by the way, her school is very well aware that she's a master IEP coach. In fact, she talks about it, and they have actually paid for other teachers to take the master IEP coach program. So this is not something where you have to choose either or if you work inside the school system. So we have Cassandra here. Cassandra said that she attended a successful IEP meeting with a client this afternoon, helped them with changing their IEP to move him back to LRE, so least restrictive environment. Received the nicest email from mom. I love what I do. Thank you, Catherine, for your help, encouragement, and guidance. So this is the mom who's helping other moms. Experience matters. Okay. This is when I said, lean into your experience and learn how to help others. That's exactly what we do in the Master IEP Coach community. This is the Master IEP Coach Mentorship, and I'm going to share a little bit about what it entails. And if you're like, yes, I need to get around the right people. I need to, make sure that we are building amazing IEPs that are changing a child's future. I don't want to get into fights. I don't want to be memorizing the law. I don't want to, learn all the things about state complaints and due process. I just want to change special education collaboratively. And yes, it can be difficult at times. Yes, there are sticky conversations that we have to have, but That's okay, because when you have the entire Master IEP Coach mentorship and community behind you, you can do this. So inside of the Master IEP Coach mentorship, here's what you will get. I told you all the things, like if you want these things, you're not going to get them. So what are you going to get? Idea law. We just talked about that. Foundation, right? Purpose and findings, and all of this, the systems, the strategies, the solutions, they are rooted in what is mandatory in special education. But that's like the roots and foundation. And then we go above and beyond. We go to the place where we can get everybody on board, where they do more than the minimum of what's required in special education. That includes having an extremely effective process for parent input. Master IEP coaches 100% know how to not wait till the last minute and then ask a parent at the IEP table, so do you have any concerns today? In fact, we are so strong on this parent input process that it helps ease the workload of teachers. It helps drive the IEP meetings so they are more effective and collaborative. And it helps for accountability with all IEP team members to make sure that we are providing this appropriate education. One of the huge things that you also learn is how to do effective letter writing. And again, this is for everybody on the IEP team. There are ways to write things down, and there are ways to not write things down. There are ways to document conflict, and there are ways to not document conflict. There are ways to document requests, and there are ways to not document requests. When you find the right way to write things, okay. One of my favorite things about letter writing and the way that, I've laid out the examples for you, I have the lessons for you inside of the Master IEP Coach mentorship, is I will tell you that the reason these letters work is because they have been tried and tested for decades and decades. And yes, we can use the same letters from decades ago and fill it in with relevant information. And the reason these letters were developed is because my client list for the 10, 15 years where I was working one-on-one with clients. And by the way, I don't work one-on-one with clients anymore. My full-time job is to teach you how to become a Master IEP coach. That's my full-time work. But I would have parents call me up and they would say, listen, I've asked the school 3 times for something. Nobody will listen to me. And I'd say, well, let's write this. So we'd put this in a proactive, collaborative, yet very effective and direct type letter. And all of a sudden they'd have a response within 24 hours. And they were like, why? And I'm like, well, because it's in a certain format and has certain words in it. And it was delivered a certain way. And so I want to teach you all of those strategies. The other thing you're going to learn is how to use data effectively, because it's not just about collecting data. I always say data or it didn't happen, or where's the data for that decision? So, but collecting data all day long doesn't leave a whole lot of time for teaching. It doesn't leave a whole lot of time for creativity. It doesn't leave a whole lot of time for anything else if we are just compiling data all the time. But there's ways to take data and to really focus on data that matters. And then negotiations, and really coming up with creative ways to make the system work. Can we just talk a little bit about what's happening in our world right now when it comes to what we have to negotiate in the school system? I've been through this type of economy before in the role of an IEP coach. I told you this has been my job for a long time. And if any of you guys are old enough to remember, and some of you may not be, and that's okay. So let me just share with you a little bit. There was a time back in 2008 that the housing market crashed, the economy tanked, everything was different than what we've had for the last many, many years, okay? And when we're in this situation, when we're in the situation of staff shortages, lack of resources, prices going up, extra stress on families, extra stress on teachers, we need to negotiate differently. We need to negotiate in a way that makes sense, that gets results fast. We don't have time to wait for the resources. We don't have time to wait for, the full staff to be there sometimes. Now, I'm not saying that we lower expectations and we give in on some things and we let some things fall between the cracks. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you have to know how to prioritize and seek resources and come to collaborative decisions in a different way when the amount of pressure that is already on us right now, it is going to increase in the next 12 months. We are going to see different hardships within the school and within families than we have seen over the past 5, 6, 7, 10 years. Okay? Things are going to change. I want you to be part of the solution to make sure that no child is losing their services or that we're missing an opportunity to make sure that we're building really great IEPs as times get a bit more stressful. When it comes to the business side, now some of you are like, I don't want to run a business. I just want all these things for myself. Like all these things sound really great. You're a parent, you're a teacher. You're like, just give me all the things. As a teacher, you're like, tell me all of this so I can use it in my current role and make my job easier. As a parent, you're like, tell me all the things because you know what? I don't necessarily want to hire somebody else to help me. I want to learn how to do it all by myself. Got it. Great. We have all of that. If you're like, and I want to help others, and I do want to explore those 3 different streams of income, I can help you with those. Inside of the Master IEP Coach Mentorship course, there are 10 different lessons that will take you through these steps from finding your ideal client to setting up technology to building what services are you going to provide? Because guess what? You don't have to provide all the services. If you're like, I'd love to be an IEP coach, but I don't want to go to IEP meetings. Did you know that that's possible? Or I want to be an IEP coach, but I only want to work with certain kinds of families because that's where my expertise is at. Got it. I'll share with you how to price yourself, especially as we're going into these next 12 months of the economy. You're like, is anybody going to hire IEP coaches? Yeah, they are. In fact, the demand is going to get higher because here's the thing. Parents are going to need more from the school because they're going to be doing less outside of school. Let me say that again. Parents, you are going to need more from the school because as the pressure gets put on you of what's going to happen possibly in the next 12 months with the economy and things and all the hardships that are coming, you need more from the school. So parents will be hiring Master IEP coaches because it's worth the investment of working with a Master IEP coach to get more from the school than to struggle on the outside trying to piece everything together by yourself. So yes, the demand is definitely going to go up. The other thing I'll teach you is how to grow from where you're at of like, okay, I want to help clients and my long-term goal is. Maybe you want this to be your full-time work. Maybe you need this to be a certain amount of money every month so you don't have to go get that part-time job at the food place down the street. Or so you don't have to DoorDash while your kids are sleeping. That's happening right now. And if you sit at an IEP table, you have the opportunity to use your expertise and gain more expertise and help others. So I want to just share with you the Master IEP Coach Mentorship, 100% online. You're going to do this in your own time. It's 100% flexible, which means you don't have to show up at a certain time or you're going to miss out. That's not going to happen. You can have both the business and the education modules. This is the only program that does that. This is the only program. In fact, we have the only searchable online directory of Master IEP coaches, meaning that you can actually go onto the Master IEP Coach website. A parent can go on there and we get inquiries every day. Every day we get multiple inquiries of somebody who then they look at the directory and there's a list of all the Master IEP coaches and they've got their profile and they've got their areas of expertise and they can actually search for someone in their area. They can search for someone by a keyword. They can search. So I want people to find you. And I want to teach you how to build where you can be found. And this is for parents, teachers, admins, and therapists. I know I've said that several times, but that's really important for you to know. It's really important for you to understand that when you come into the Master IEP Coach program, that you're going to have access to knowledge from all sides of the IEP table. And that's one of the most unique things about the Master IEP Coach Mentorship. There's 2 different ways that you can join, okay? The Master IEP Coach Mentorship is a course. An online course, but it has some live components to it, which means you don't buy the course, go file it in your computer, right? So you're like, oh, I'll save this login email for later and maybe I'll get to it. No, I'm actually going to coach you live in January, but I'm talking to you about this now because I have some bonuses for you. So when you commit and you say, I'm in December, but I don't have time to do it right now. That's okay. I get it. I will be here live with you in January to coach you, but you can get started at your own pace right now. So you choose full payment or payment plan. Then you mark your calendar for January. So you have access to the live coaching. And then you're going to say, what if I can't attend the live dates? Everything's recorded for you. Everything. And then immediately you can start your modules and get your bonuses. So your bonuses are super fun. One of them is, this is one of my favorites. One of them is that if you choose the pay full choice, and I'll give you the website in just a minute. It's IEPmentorship.com. Let me go ahead and just put that in the comments so it'll be clickable. Okay. One of the things that I love is that I use this tool called Voxer. It's an app called Voxer. It's like voice texting back and forth. And one of the bonuses when you sign up in December and you choose full pay is that you and I can actually Voxer back and forth, which means that you don't have to log into a group. You don't have to navigate through a whole bunch of stuff. You can just say like, hey, Catherine, I've got a question about module 2. And I will literally message you back and say, okay, here's your answer in there. So there's a couple of different options. Like I said, choose full pay or payment plan. You're going to mark your calendar for January so we can do 3 onboarding calls live together, but you're going to get access to everything immediately. So it's your choice. You can start now or you can wait till we onboard, whichever one. And then you can start working on those bonuses. All right, let me get back over here. Here's what's going to happen if you sign up by Tuesday. Okay, so this is by Tuesday. Your fast action bonuses are available until Tuesday. You will not see all of these things. When you go to that website, IEPmentorship.com, you will not see all of these because they are not available to everyone all the time. This is a fast action bonus to say, yes, I'm closing out 2022, knowing that in January 2023, I'm going to be all in and working with master IEP coaches so then I can help other people. Or maybe it's to help yourself as a parent, again, or as a teacher. So fast action bonuses. Number 1, you sign up by Tuesday, you get a kickoff consult with me. We're going to do a one-on-one kickoff consult call in January, not in December. You're busy. I'm busy. I get it. Okay. But I'm looking forward to 2023. And I want to put you on my calendar and say, okay, listen, why did you become a master IP coach? Why did you enroll in this course? Why did you want to get surrounded by the positive, parents, teachers, admins, and therapists? What's going on? Because then when you tell me like, well, I'm a parent and I want all these things for myself. I don't know if I want to help other people, but I really don't know if I'm asking for everything that my child needs. I want to help coach you through some of those struggles during that kickoff call. If you're a teacher and you're like, you know what, I'm struggling this year. I don't even know if I can stay in special education. Everything feels so hard. Let me help you through that through your kickoff call. If you're like, you know what, I heard you say that you could help possibly where I don't have to go get a part-time job down the street or DoorDash while my kids are sleeping. Can you show me this business side and help me make some decisions? Yes, I would love to do that during our kickoff call. So this kickoff call is all about you one-on-one. And I promise you, I have times on my calendar that are going to meet your busy schedule. Okay. Number 2, fast action bonus, celebration swag mailed to your door. Love this one. So when we get started, so our first onboarding call, I believe, is January 10th. So from January 10th to February 10th, I'm going to be coaching you through emails. I'm going to be coaching. We're going to have some onboarding calls. And at the end of your first 30 days, I'm going to make sure that I send a t-shirt and a certificate to your house. That's a fast action bonus. Okay. There's also some hidden surprises within your course that you actually could get this month. All right. Number 3, if you're like, okay, tell me what I have to do if I really want to do this and help other people. I will show you how to set up your website with no fancy tech required. You will get access to that module where it's literally point and click. Okay. Now, here's the thing. If you are a teacher, knowing how to set up a one-page website so others can find you, super important. Even if you're comfortable in your current role, it's great to have an online business card. If you are a parent who's like, I want to help other parents, but I don't websites and all of those things, I don't have time to get into all of that. I just got to do IEP stuff. I get it. I promise you, I can walk you right through that. And then the other thing is a lot of you are going to say, I want to help, but I don't want to sell my services. I want to be selling people on, hey, hire me. So it's important for you to know that you can fill your calendar without being salesy. And I've already given you some hints on how that happens. Being uniquely you, sharing your experience. Let's see, as a current master IEP coach, I can attest to the value of this mentorship and how amazing being a coach is. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. I promise you, everyone, I give you all of the tools that I've had for the last 25 years, and I'm packaging them up and I'm saying, here, use them. You can get access to all of those at IEPmentorship.com. So if you go to IEPmentorship.com and you sign up, and you got to make sure that you sign up before Tuesday, then you're going to get all of those bonuses. And again, you choose. You want to start digging in now? Great. You've got access. You want to wait until January? Awesome. That means that you get all the fast action bonuses, plus you'll be ready to jump in January. All right, let's just look at a couple other things here. This is Jenna. Jenna is a newer master IEP coach. And if you guys have questions about Master IEP Coach, go ahead and put them in the comments right now. If you're watching the replay, go ahead, put them in the comments. I'll get a notification that somebody left a question. Please go ahead. So Jenna says, I wrote a letter in response to a draft IEP yesterday. Now, remember I told you letter writing is a huge part of this. And learning how to write effective letters does not mean that you spend hours and hours and hours. And you're like, this sounds like homework. No, I promise you, simple and effective. All right. I wrote a letter in response to draft IEP yesterday, and it was shared by the parents with the team this morning. Do you see that process? Jenna helped write a letter, then gave it to her clients, who are the parents. The parents gave it to the school, which means that the parents are the voice for their child. It's not, oh, the advocate is coming. No, it's, wow, these parents are really digging in a great way into their child's education. Okay. So there was a lot of missing information in the draft, and some of the things that had been added didn't make sense. The parents were really frustrated, but they trusted me to write a response that would prepare the team for the meeting later that week. Do you see that she's building a long-term relationship? Remember, I talked about that. I didn't always just help parents who were in crisis. I was helping parents long-term. I want to teach you to do the same. In the letter, I enumerated their concerns, backing up statements with page numbers and quotes from the IEP. I made everything as clear and concise as possible while keeping the tone supportive and collaborative. We also had a rockin' parent input statement. The responses from the rest of the team have been awesome. Everyone is grateful that we are communicating before the meeting, and now we have time to fill in the gaps and address concerns. I am feeling so validated that I chose this direction for my career. Up until now, I have been focused exclusively on providing private tutoring for students with disabilities, but I am excited to make a bigger impact at IEP meetings too. So that's just one way that you can use the Master IEP Coach course and mentorship. Destiny says that I love being able to come here and share wins because I feel like this networking community understands the importance of it. Remember I said you got to get around the right people? Have you ever shared a win with somebody and they're like, okay. And you're like, no, this is a big deal. Like, it's a big deal the IEP meeting went well, or it's a big deal that we got this extra 30 minutes of speech therapist, or it's a big deal that this, behavior plan is working. This is a big deal. And other people sometimes just don't get it, right? So she loves to share her wins. We do this actually once a month. When you enroll in the Master IEP Coach Mentorship course, you get to come once a month. We go to a huddle, and you will be able to share your wins, and we're going to celebrate with you. As I stated before, I'm a military spouse, and so advocating for military families is a huge passion of mine. And thanks to the knowledge here to build my website and social media, I've had 2 opportunities. So again, super simple website and social media strategies so you can reach out and help families. So here's what happened for Destiny. She's now had the ability to do a talk on a panel on IEPs, information specifically related to military families and supporting of educating parents in the Black and Hispanic communities. She also has been afforded the opportunity to partner with Partners in Promise, which specifically works with military families who have children enrolled in EFMP. That's military stuff, okay? Which means that they are affiliated with disability and special education. She's super excited and thankful for these opportunities and continue to live in her purpose and help families gain knowledge and advocate for themselves. You see, she's empowering specific communities based on her experience to build IEPs that work. I would love to work with you in January, and I would love to give you the bonuses and rewards for saying, yes, I'm in. Yes, I'm in. I'm making this commitment now. I'm going to get through the holidays and all of the chaos. And in January, we're going to kick off the new year as a Master IEP Coach. Remember, you get access to everything now. Your bonuses are all included. and then we'll dig in together live in January. If you have any questions about the IEP mentorship and becoming a master IEP coach, whether it's for yourself or it's because you want to help others, please do not hesitate to reach out. I truly hope to work with you in 2023. Thanks everyone for being here.